A Letter to Three Wives was released in 1985. This is directed by Larry Elkin, and it's written by Sally Robinson, based on the screenplay by Joseph L. Mankiewicz, and it is a remake, I believe a remake of the 1949 version. I don't know if it's an exact carbon copy, if there are any differences. If you have any thoughts on that, please feel free to share. And we have a cast including Lonnie Anderson, Michelle Lee, Stephanie Zimbalist, we have Doris Roberts. It's because of Doris Roberts that I became aware of this, and I read the description, and I thought that sounds really familiar. And I watched it and it didn't ring any bells. So I don't know if there's a film with a similar premise. I don't think I've seen the 1940s version. So if anybody knows, when I talk about the narrative, if there is a film with even a reasonably similar concept, please let me know, because I'm sure I've seen something like this. But certainly I hadn't seen this before. I watched it for Doris Roberts. She's in it a little bit. In general, I guess it's fine. I didn't think it was that interesting, but I was curious to find out what would happen. Very, very slow to begin with. But eventually, three women are going on this boat trip with some kids, and just before they go on this boat, they receive a letter saying that somebody has plans to run off with one of their husbands. But which husband? That's the mystery. They don't actually get told which husband it's going to be, and now they're on this boat wondering, when I get back to land, has my husband ran off with somebody? And the mystery, of course, is whose husband? Will he have run off? I'm not going to answer those questions. I cared enough that I wanted to find out whose husband it was. I was definitely interested to find out. But that being said, the specifics of the narrative are not that interesting as they try and think of whose husband it could be. Is their husband a likely candidate? I didn't really care that much about that part of it. I just didn't find it to be all that interesting. So, yes, I was keen to see what would happen at the end, and I'm not going to say what would happen at the end, but in general, I guess everything flows well. The pacing was definitely slow to begin with, and actually, I'd say it was slow in certain places as well. It's quite a long film at about 1 hour and 40, and there's a lot of fluff. It really drags things out. So, the pacing between the events is fine, by which I mean we go from one point to the next at a pretty steady rate. But because what's happening has a lot of fluff in between it, the gaps between each point does kind of feel a little slow. So each person gets enough time. We get enough time kind of wondering about each of the husbands. That's fine. But in between those, it's just not the greatest. The narrative isn't the best handled. As I said, I don't know if it's a carbon copy of the 1940s version. If you have any thoughts on that, please feel free to share. But based purely on this one, I'm not going to rush to watch the other one. I might watch it at some point, largely because I'm keen to see if it is exactly the same. But in terms of the narrative, it's not that compelling. It's not that entertaining. Yes, I was still invested enough to find out what happened. The characters are quite boring. They're well enough written in the sense that they're believable, but they're not that interesting. The performances are fine. It's not a great film. It just doesn't have a lot to offer other than the mystery of whose husband is it. Basically, I was keen to find out what the destination would be, but the journey getting there is kind of slow. It is watchable, and I wouldn't say there's anything badly done apart from some parts where the pacing's not very good. And again, there are some bits where the pacing's okay. But in general, it's not great. The camera works fine, the settings are fine, the technical aspects are all okay, the performances are fine, the characters are believable, they're just a little bit bland, the narrative is stretched out, some good bits with pacing, at least with how much time we spend on each character, but in terms of the narrative pacing, it's just not amazing. A Letter to Three Wives is not a good film. Maybe it's an okay film. I'd be keen to know what you think of it if you check it out. Do I recommend it? Not necessarily. If there's a specific reason why you want to watch it, the cast, maybe you've seen the original and you want to see how it compares, then check it out. It is watchable. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's enjoyable. I wouldn't watch it again. I might watch the original at some point, but for now, I can say A Letter to Three Wives, 1985, is only an okay film at best, and unless there's a specific reason why you want to watch it, I'd say it's probably not worth bothering with.